guys, and welcome to this video. It's a boob job Q&A video, so we're gonna jump right into it because I have a lot of questions to answer and I'm excited to do so. So I am just about 4 months, almost 4 months post-op. So my surgeon was Dr. Antimarino from Bellissimo Plastic Surgery in Monroeville, Pennsylvania. That's who I used. I had one other consultation before him and she just didn't fit me. So when you go for a breast augmentation, in my opinion, you should research 3 doctors. Always do 3. So I ended up only doing 2 because when I met Dr. Antimarino, I knew he was it. He was my surgeon. He knew what I wanted. He didn't make faces at me. Like my first surgeon I went to, she suggested a low profile and a moderate profile, and I'll get into that, but that's not what I wanted. And when I expressed wanting to go bigger, she kind of like made a face. So, and she was also significantly more expensive than Dr. Antimarino. So when I left there, I was kind of like, I need to go find somebody else. So I researched my doctors on realself.com, and that's where I found Dr. Antimarino. When you're looking for a plastic surgeon, make sure it is a plastic surgeon and not a cosmetic surgeon. You do not want a cosmetic surgeon. You want a plastic surgeon. You want to make sure who you're looking for is board certified and has all the recommendations and all the accreditations of a plastic surgeon. So let's get started here. We'll start with my size first. I started as a 34A. I am now a 34 double D. So as you can see, my scar, I had a cyst removal. So my scar is from a cyst removal, so ignore that. So these are the boobs. I have 475 and 495 silicone ultra high profile. My company that, so that's 375 and 395 ultra high profile silicone under the muscle with an under the breast incision. With no lift. I didn't need a lift. So I have 2 different sizes because I had asymmetrical breasts from nursing. And a lot of women have it just in general. It's nothing to be ashamed of. We're not perfectly symmetrical, and that's okay. So this side got the less amount of cc's. Okay. I still have to push down on it, which this is up to your surgeon. This isn't every surgeon. A lot of surgeons have you push down to settle the boob into pocket. As you can see, like, if I push this boob up a little bit, they match a little better. I'm okay with them not being perfectly perfect. I know I spent a lot of money on them, and they would have both been like this. I don't know how much a lift would have been. I wasn't interested. I'm perfectly fine with the way they look. So let's start with some questions. So I had asked Facebook and Instagram for some questions on what type of questions you have on a breast augmentation. So let's start with pain scale. So on a scale of 1 to 10, for me, labor, I have 2 children, so for me, labor was worse. I would say a pain scale of about a 4 to a 5. When I first came out of surgery, it was no joke, a 9 or a 10. But they gave me like morphine or Dilaudid or whatever they give you when you first come out of surgery, and that instantly brought my pain down, and then I was able to manage it with my pain medicine and my muscle relaxers. That's what my surgeon gave me. Not all surgeons give you muscle relaxers. I took my medication on the dot. Every 4 hours, I took my pain medicine and I took my muscle relaxers. I think that was crucial to my recovery. I think it was really important to that. That's why I think I wasn't in so much pain through my recovery, is because I religiously took my pain medicine, and you should too. Don't be a hero, take your pain medicine. Like I said, I have silicone. I personally chose silicone because I like the way it felt better. Both implants, silicone and saline, are both made from a silicone shell. Obviously, silicone is a cohesive silicone, so you can cut it open and it will not go anywhere. Not like old implants where you would cut it open and it would pour out everywhere. You can cut these and they stay their shape. You can run them over with a truck. They do not break. Saline, on the other hand, is made of saline water. Now, I believe saline is cheaper than silicone by roughly around $1,000. So I paid $68.50 for my implants at $475 and $495. Ultra high profile. Saline would have been roughly $1,000 cheaper. Benefits of both. They're both fine implants. There's nothing wrong with choosing saline over silicone. I just like the feel of silicone more. I feel like they felt more natural, so that's why I picked them. Okay, let me break down the profiles. So you have low profile, which has a wide base, and it doesn't sit as high. Moderate profile is a little bit smaller in the base and sits a little bit higher. High profile is even smaller at the base and sits higher, and ultra high is even smaller and sits even higher. This one looks more natural. I don't really care. I love them. They're perfect to me. Fine. So that's how I picked my surgeon. When I met him, he was just like, boom, 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 ultra high profile. I love to use ultra high profile implants. They work really well. So that's what we went with. Like I said, they'll measure your breast width. And I believe my width was like 12.5 centimeters or something like that. So in order for me to get the size I wanted, I had to go with ultra high profile because, again, like I said, the base is smaller, but it projects higher. Like if you look, see how it projects? It projects farther away from my body than it is wide. Like you could push them and they would be wider. So a moderate profile has a wider base, which are popular. Moderate profiles are really popular, especially if you have a large gap. Like if I wanted to close my gap, I would probably have to go with like a moderate profile, or maybe not even. My gap still might not close, but I'm okay. I'm okay with the way it looks. Do they feel natural? Yes. Now, if you squeeze really hard, you can feel the implant. Yes, I'm sitting here squeezing my boobs. If you squeeze really hard, you can feel the implant. Loss of sensation? No. If anything, I have more of a sensation now. Like I said, I went under the tissue, I went under the muscle, and I went under the breast fold. I did not get an areola incision. I did not go through the belly button. I did not go through the armpit. I went underneath. I have tiny little scars that are about this big under each side. No big deal. They're very small. You wouldn't notice them unless I'm laying on my back. The only person who sees them is my husband. Like, I don't care. How much? Again, I paid $68.50 with Dr. Antimarino in Monroeville, Pennsylvania. Type of complications you can have. Obviously, there is a risk of any type of complication, lots of complications when it comes to anesthesia. You could, like, the worst case scenario is you don't wake up. As far as I have researched and been told, there is no such thing as breast implant illness. From my research, and I'm not a professional, I'm not a doctor, maybe I'm not sure why, but from my research on a few Facebook groups of like hundreds of thousands of women, their research, which is now my research, says if you have an autoimmune disorder, you should not get implants. I'm not exactly sure why. I think it makes you sicker, but I could be wrong. Now, I think there have been women who have an autoimmune disorder that have had implants and have been fine. I think it is a coincidence if you get sick after your implants. I don't think there is correlation. Especially silicone implants. They have been researched when they were taken off the market in what, the late 90s, I think, or the early 2000s. They were taken off the market for like 7 years. They are one of the most highly researched medical devices on the market. So they know the long-term effects of silicone. They know what complications you can have. These are all good questions to ask any board-certified plastic surgeon. But I'm just going to answer them as best as I can from my research. Silicone over saline, and I kind of touched on that a little bit. Silicone is made of the cohesive gel. Saline is sterile water, essentially. Both are fine. My surgeon prefers silicone. Some surgeons prefer saline. With silicone, you have a bigger scar because they have to fit the entire implant in your pocket, which is what they call your area they put the implant in. They have to fit it into that pocket. With saline, it can be a smaller incision because they fill it up while it's in you. So you can get, I guess in a way, you can get a better result, a more symmetrical result from saline because they can fill them up exactly even, if you know what I mean. Like they could put 475 and 475.2 in this side to make them symmetrical, if you catch what I'm saying. Healing process. So for me and my surgeon, I had bandages underneath and I had a surgical bra on. The surgical bra stayed on for 1 week. The bandages stayed on for 1 week. No, the bandages stayed on for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 5 days because I had my surgery done on a Thursday and I went back for my follow-up on a Monday. So I couldn't shower for that long. Now some surgeons put in like waterproof bandages so you can shower the next day. It's all surgical preferences. It's not, one way is not better than the other. But I had bandages. Now there's no staples or anything like that. It's glue. He used glue incision, so it's very small. They didn't have to take staples out or stitches out or anything like that. Can you still breastfeed? Yes. Another difference with silicone versus saline. My surgeon told me silicone you can go upwards of 20 years before you need them replaced. With saline, it's every 10. The difference in breakage. So it's very possible to have a ruptured implant. I think it's pretty rare. With silicone, you won't know. So you might go with a ruptured implant for like a year. And then you know because it would start getting a little hard. And then you would need an MRI to diagnose if you have a ruptured implant. Or they'll just go in and change your implants. Especially if you're getting close to like 10 or 12, 15 years. They'll just do an implant switch. With saline, you will just deflate. So you'll have one boob, one flat boob, because it'll just, the saline reabsorbs into your body. So that's another pros and cons of both implant. All right, implant placement. Under or over the muscle and why? So I chose to go under the muscle. In fact, my surgeon only offers under the muscle because with over the muscle, he said, this is what he told me, you obstruct 15% of your breast tissue during a mammogram. Now, he does a lot of breast reconstruction. So he sees a lot of breast cancer survivors and people who have dealt with breast cancer. So he says he does not want anybody to have 15% of their breast tissue blocked during a mammogram. That's why he places them under. That way, during a mammogram, all of your breast tissue, because your implant is under the muscle, is accessible. So there's no dark spots. There's nowhere you can't see. Over the muscle, obviously, goes over the muscle. The healing process is about 2 weeks for over the muscle. You have less restrictions with over the muscle. As far as do they look more natural than under the muscle, the implant up. The healing time for under the muscle is 6 to 8 weeks. So I have 2 children. My mom was here with me for the first 2 weeks. At 2 weeks, I was cleared to pick my daughter up. Now, my daughter at the time weighed like 16 pounds, so not a lot. So I only picked her up when absolutely necessary. I had her climb the steps herself. I only picked her up to get into the car or get into the crib. That is the only time. For the first 2 weeks, my mom did it. That's at minimum. Some surgeons want you, my first surgeon said, wait until your daughter's old enough to do everything herself because for the first 6 weeks you cannot lift anything. There are possible complications if you lift too early. You can tear your pocket, which means the pocket, let's just say this is your pocket, they put your implant in your pocket and you twist, bend, lift something you shouldn't have, your pocket tears. So now your implant shifts. So now you look funny because your implant has shifted. Would I do it over again? Absolutely. The confidence boost just by getting my boobs done has been like something I didn't even expect. As exercise goes, I haven't had a problem. Some people can't do push-ups anymore after their breast augmentation. I can still do all of my chest work. It just feels a little different. So to end this very, very long video, I hope I answered all your questions. Feel free to subscribe. Ask me anything in the comments. I will answer them. Like this video, and I will see you next time. Bye!